get on his ass real quick one time. 140 to 4, bitch.
Run that shit up, Chase.
They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said, of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Wait up, let me make a call right quick. I'ma start another war. I was hurting when she left, but I don't care about anymore. I need a Vaseline like my Nina Puffer bar. Took a Zoc, watch the dark. Matter of fact, like a dart. Any problem, let them come. We gon' snatch they soul like Shane Sharp. Put them out of service, keep them tools like Miss Harper Free. Try to hold me, it's way too late. I'm headed straight to the safe. Throw that one up like a trophy. I'm that nigga, ain't no debate. Told them boys we taking over. Call them up like set the date. This shit a piece of cake. Yeah, my bitches came from Whole Foods. Told them put on that top 3. Then bring me my house shoes. Don't make excuses, make moves. These niggas ungrateful, gotta show them UPK rules. I make hits like I can't lose. They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Yeah, I just got off the call. I'ma start another war. Spit a plate up with my niggas. Get your knife and your fork. He ain't locked in with the counting. Would you speaking to me for? Yeah, I just took the floor. Ain't no cowards in my campaign. They can't stop the campaign. Tell them bring the champagne. They know I'm a champion. They can see the outcome. Get them niggas bad. Got them tied down and out there. Came through with them steppers. Niggas been down since day one. We run up the bands, bitch, like Dylan, Dylan, Dylan. They say you get on, you gon' represent. I said, of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. Yeah, about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, we whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. I told you niggas, you ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our car. And I just made the call. We gon' start another war. Yeah. I can't let no hoe lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, oh they lies, this hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying, this shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Circle up and stay alert, another cop just stretch the nigga. He a demon, it's an exorcism, watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. From the opposition, I see vision, let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spin, I ain't listening, is in fact the If revenge was a woman, now I scope that bitch like Jacob. So time war, we gon' run the summer, it's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do that, bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young baby. How you real trigger know them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? What he saying something, I ain't hear him, this shit light work. It ain't about who got the gun, it's about who gon' up that fight first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain frame. Shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that feeds you, you'll never get that hand back. He bitch about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, I with that hollow sign, yeah, this the rim accord. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still about my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get it, boy, lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, Hop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
Just clap it up. Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. This is the Monday night scripture breakdown class. If you got any questions, you go ahead and put it in the chat. Or if you got any questions in the room, go ahead and raise your hand. We've been started at established since 1969 out of Harlem, New York. We've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible, the truth according to our culture and identity and history, according to our archaeology, history, and all of that since 1969. You know what I mean? Tonight, we're gonna do what your Christian pastors have never had the ability to do. You know what I mean, which is break down these scriptures. Your Christian pastor believes that the New Testament suggests that the law is done away with, which means our culture is done away with, which means our identity and all of that, which means our way of life is done away with. You know what I mean? Slack, if I could get Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6. Salakia. Your Christian pastor, you know what I mean, suggests that the New Testament means that your culture, your laws, and your statutes and commandments are done away with. But what that does is makes for a reckless society. It makes our, you know what I'm saying, Black, Hispanic, and Native American society and civilization. It just makes us. It puts us in a position of living in chaos. You know what I mean? But what we're gonna reveal tonight, as we do every night, you know what I mean, in the ISUPK, is that your Christian pastor doesn't know a damn thing about what he's talking about, and in fact, the laws, statutes, and commandments aren't done away with, and that you already hit that button on the thing, the plug-in point. But what you're gonna discover, you know what I mean, just like we bring out every night, just like we reveal every night, is that your Christian pastor doesn't know a damn thing about what he's talking about, and that these law, statutes, and commandments aren't done away with. And if they were done away with, just like we believe, you'll see that the society, you can tell that the laws were never done away with, because without the laws, you see that we live in chaos. You know what I mean? Look at our look at our leaders, so-called leaders. You know what I mean? You got your religious leaders talking about getting swallowed up. You got your government leaders, you know what I mean, fighting for, you know what I mean, fighting for your oppressor. I mean, you got our the rich of our people, you know what I mean, giving all their love and all their allegiance and all their loyalty to our oppressor. Look at Jay-Z, you know what I mean? Every chance he get, he you know what I mean, he dismantles the you know what I mean, the black, and it's not just, you know what I'm saying, it's just, I don't want to just put it on one brother, but it's just you know what I mean, look at the rich of our people And everything that they do, everything that the rich of our people do is for the benefit of our oppressor. You know what I mean? And then everything that we do as a people is paying tribute to our oppressor because we don't have these laws, statutes, and commandments. Look at our men. You know what I mean? Our men are effeminate. Our women are, you know what I mean, are masculine, or you know what I mean, just outright just have no shame. You know what I mean? Look at the you know what I mean, look at I don't even want to call it a old girl, sexy red. Look at who represents women nowadays. Look who represents our men. You know what I mean? And that's because we don't have our law. We don't have our culture. But select it, sir. You got that scripture?
Verse 4 and 6.
Concert.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
So this is talking about our law, statutes, and commandments that we were just talking about. It's saying that your law, statutes, and commandments. See, again, your Christian pastor, and again, I want to remind everybody who might be tuning in, you know what I mean, I want to remind everybody who might be tuning in that this is not the Christian church. You know what I mean? This is whatever, you know what I'm saying, whatever you seen in the Christian church, whatever you were taught as a child, what the Bible is or what the Bible represents, this is not that. I mean, this is not the Christian church. But what the Bible actually, we teach the Bible, or we teach the truth according to the Bible, what the Bible actually says. We teach what the Bible actually says. And this is what the Bible actually says about our laws, statutes, and commandments. So you mind reading that from the top again?
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
See, these laws, statutes, and commandments that your Christian pastor wants to convince you are done away with at the command of your oppressor. These laws, statutes, and commandments are our wisdom in the sight of these other nations. Go ahead, read on, Baba Kashad.
Which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
And that's heavy right there, because these other nations are supposed to hear these laws, statutes, and commandments and say, so like you read that again, sir? Bible Kashad?
Therefore, and keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
See, these other nations around us are supposed to hear these laws, statutes, and commandments and see us keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, see how separate we are from all these other nations, and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. But what do they think of us now? You know what I mean? Look at your the chief oppressor among all the nations. Look at how they see us. They don't see us anything more than just like how they count cattle. Or, you know what I mean, they look at us as something to be used. You know what I mean? Criminals, thugs, you name it. Any slur or epithet that you could put in that place. That's how your oppressor looks at you. In all these other nations, they'll tell you themselves that they don't respect us simply because instead of following our culture and identity, instead of following our laws, statutes, and commandments that the Most High told Moses was our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the other nations, instead of following our laws, statutes, and commandments, we follow after our oppressor. So you ask these other nations, and just like the brother said in the chat, they think we just niggas. You know what I mean? These other nations, they think that they don't respect us. They just like, how could you follow after a nation that had you in captivity, that stole your land, that stole your language and put it on as their own, stole your culture and put it on as their own? You know what I mean? Beat your culture and identity out of you. You know what I mean? And now what do we do? You know what I mean? It was a time where we were our women and our men were getting assaulted were getting assaulted by our oppressor, and now what do? We give ourselves to our oppressor willingly. Well, they were doing something called buck breaking our men, and they were assaulting our women. And what do? We seek out our oppressors' daughters and our oppressors' men to sleep with them. You know what I mean? They were pressing their LGBTQ identity on us, and now what do? We seek out their identity. We seek out that LGBTQ identity. You know what I mean? They were making us eat unlawful food, unlawful, you know what I'm saying, unlawful animals, where they were giving us the scraps. I wish I could find that picture of that brother standing next to that trough bucket with all the intestines and the what we call chitlins today. You know what I mean? They gave us the scraps. They gave us the pig feet and the pig snout and the intestines and the pig stomach and all of that. And now we seek it out willingly. But the Most High gave us these laws, statutes, and commandments to have us rule over all these other nations. You know what I mean? We're supposed to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, and these are supposed to be the wisdom these are supposed to be seen as wise and understanding in the sight of the other nations. But you know what I mean? We need to, long story short, you know what I mean? We need to just come back to our culture and identity as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, so that we can come back. You know what I'm saying? We always call each other king and queen, which, you know what I mean? Baba Kashad, don't call me no king. And I wouldn't dare call my sister no queen because I know the origin of that word. But we want to call each other. I understand the spirit behind it. We implying that, you know what I mean, we royalty, right? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which is true. We supposed to be, like the priest just read, we supposed to be, these law, statutes, and commandments is supposed to be our wisdom in the sight of the other nations. So, you know what I mean? I understand the implication behind it. But how can we be wise and understanding? How can we be rulers in the sight of the other nations if we're doing exactly what these other nations taught us, doing the destructive things that these nations taught us? But that's what we do up in here. You know what I mean? Again, if you got any questions, I mean, you can put them in the chat. You know what I mean? We can get your questions answered. We are not the Christian church. You know what I mean? Your Christian church will not answer questions, and they will not solve the problems of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in their neighborhoods. But the ISUPK, under Commanding General Yohana, that's what we're here for, in Killeen, Texas, on 8th Street. You know what I mean? Tonight, we're going to talk about a problem that plagues Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans especially. You know what I mean? The title of the class is A New Commandment. Baba Kasha, let me get John chapter 13 real quick. And this is so heavy because back John chapter 13 verse 34, so like, but it's so heavy because thousands of years ago, when Christ was doing his thing, when he was teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and doing what he was doing, healing the sick, raising the dead, you know what I mean, giving brothers and sisters the spirit behind our culture. He has said that even back then, we just gonna read it real quick. You got this, sir?
The book of John, chapter 13, verse 34. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you.
So this is Christ, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of red up in there, and we know when a scripture is highlighted in red, we know that that's Christ speaking. A black man who taught Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans how to love one another, and also taught them how to separate from their oppressor, much like Commandant General Yohana does this today, right? And the brothers in the ISUPK. But he says, "A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another." Slacky, go ahead and read on, Bible Show.
As I have loved you, that ye also love one another. Chapter 35. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples. Verse 35, Salaki. By this all men shall know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another.
Now, this is what blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are missing right now. You know what I mean? And this is, you know what I mean, this is what, like we read in Deuteronomy. Like, these other nations only look at us, these other nations look at us as great already. Like, they look at us and they like, and they run fast, they jump high, you know what I mean? You name it. They already trying to mimic our culture, but they don't have no respect for us. But the only thing that we missing as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is our love for one another. And what we're gonna talk about tonight is something that catches, like, it's something that catches bodies in, you know what I mean, in our communities. Like, it really, it's what defeats us pretty much as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Just our love for one another. And this is why Christ is saying that this is a new commandment. Let me get Leviticus chapter 19 real quick. Let me make sure that's correct. 19 verse 17. But this is, you know what I'm saying? Christ is saying right here that this is a new commandment. He's giving you a new commandment, but this ain't a new commandment. You know what I mean? This ain't no new commandment. This is actually a very old commandment, and we're gonna get it right now. Oh, you got that, sir?
The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
So the new commandment is that you should love one another. That's a new commandment that Christ gave. But what did that say?
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him.
It's verse 18.
Verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
Thou shalt do what?
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
But nah, Christ gave the commandment. It was a new commandment that you should love one another. This was thousands of years before Christ came on the scene. What did that say?
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Now, we reading this out of the Old Testament. Christ said that this was a new commandment in the New Testament. Why is this a new commandment? I'm gonna give y'all a second in the chat to answer that question. Why is this a new commandment? Because we just read in the Old or in the New Testament that this is a new commandment, but we just read in the Old Testament where this was laid down in Leviticus. So, with that being said, why is this a new commandment? Why is this considered a new commandment? You want to? You had something, sir?
Well, I was going to ask you a question, unless you just want to give them some time in the chat.
Sir, I kind of want to give them a little bit of time, but
Okay.
But it's, and if you can answer this question, I mean, if you can answer this question, then you're gonna be able to unlock the reason why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, well, if you can answer this question, you're gonna be able to unlock why you're gonna be able to understand why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have such a tough time. You know what I mean, dwelling amongst one another. I mean, I see the brother in the chat say because we forgot how to love each other. That's very, that's I'll give you that. That's very close. That's very close. You know what I mean? Actually, that's the answer right there. Because we forgot how to love one another, man. And that's Salaki, sir. You wanted to expound?
Oh no, I was just pretty much going to say, what the brother had said, that's something that we was not doing,
Right.
as the children of Israel. We were not loving one another. So when Christ came back, he had to, hey, I'm gonna give you a new commandment because obviously y'all forgot. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not keeping it.
Right.
Let me give you a new commandment. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But
Right.
like you say, like you bringing out, it wasn't nothing new. It's just that that's something that we were not doing.
Right.
As brothers. Like.
Concert. And that's exactly what it is. Like it's again, it wasn't something that was new. It was just something that we just never applied. And that's something that we don't apply today. And that's something that's so crucial to understand as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, especially once you come into these and once you come into the truth and once you come behind these walls and come serve the Lord. You know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10, you know what I mean, you leave the truth, you leave the ISUPK, it's 9 times out of 10 because of brotherhood. I mean, you see all these fake Israelite groups, and you see all these churches and denominations, even in the Christian church. You know what I mean, you ask them, why you left First Ebenezer Christian Baptist Episcopal, whatever the hell, Salakia, and they gonna tell you, oh, they just, you know what I mean, they just wasn't, I wasn't feeling them. You know, the sisters, them deacons, and them, they gonna tell you it was brotherhood. But you know what I'm saying, it's just different up in here. Just like any of these fake Christian Israelite groups. I mean, outside of the ISUPK. And make no mistake, the ISUPK was established since 1969. We are the home of the truth. Since 1969, we've been teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible. So any Christian Israelite group who may or may not wear the shield of David, may or may not, you know what I mean, whatever the case is, wear fringes or teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible, they got it from the ISUPK, which was established in 1969. And there was no other beforehand. But any Christian Israelite group, you ask them, I wish I had that video of what's the dude name? Nasty Nate. He talking, the dude asked him a very practical question in the interview. He was like, so, you know what I mean? You doing the same thing that the ISUPK doing. You doing the same thing they doing, according to the brother who was doing the interview. They are not doing the same thing we're doing. I'm gonna make that shit Salaki. Let me make that clear. They not doing the same thing that the ISUPK is doing. But he asked him a very practical question. He was like, well, y'all doing the same thing. Y'all teaching the same thing. Why not just, what made you not join them? And what made you start your own thing? And he talking about, oh, it was much polygamy, much this, that, and the third, which polygamy is it's absolutely lawful according to the Most High, according to the Bible, according to those laws, statutes, and commandments that we just read that said that is our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. But he was, when you chop it up, the reason why, well, of course we know that the you know what I mean, the IUIC is some what they call it, some psyop operation, you know what I mean, some police organization. We already know that, but any other Israelite group, some fake Israelite group, some Christian Israelite group outside of the ISUPK, you know what I mean, you can ask them, you know what I mean, why not join them? Why not join the ISUPK started in 1969? You know what I mean, out of Harlem, New York. Why not just do the same thing you're doing here and do it where it all began? And they're going to tell you about some brotherhood. You know what I mean? Ask anybody who left the truth. Ask anybody who came up in these doors, sat amongst us, no matter what city you in. Ask anybody. And they're going to tell you the same thing. Oh, they're going to blame it on some brotherhood. They're going to be like, oh, well, they just too rough, or they going, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? they're gonna tell you they're gonna relate it to some sort of brotherhood issue. But we have in these scriptures, we have laws for that. Baba Kashar, let me get Matthew chapter 18, verse starting at verse 15. But the reason why they left, the reason why they started to do their own thing, the reason why they're not with us in the home of the truth, which nobody can contest that we're not the home of the truth, is because of brotherhood. And that's that new commandment that Christ gave us that we never applied, like the priest just brought up. So it's only a new commandment because we've never used it. And that's what, again, to reiterate, that's what takes a lot of brothers and sisters out of the truth. And that's why you go into the world and you start getting high again. You start sleeping with anybody who will sleep with you again. You start getting on that nicotine again. You start whatever the case is, whatever you was doing in the world. That's the excuse that brothers use to start abusing themselves and hurting themselves and hurting one another, hurting other brothers and sisters and their children because of brotherhood. That's always the excuse. You know what I mean? You ask anybody, even in the world, you know what I mean? You ask why your mother was a what's the word? Salakia. This new social media. What's the word? This promiscuous. You ask your mother why she was a promiscuous woman, why she was a drug addict, why she was an alcoholic, why she was all these things, why she left your father. You ask your father why he left your mother, why he's a effeminate man, why he this, that, and the third. You ask why he's a drug addict, why he's an alcoholic. You ask any of your family members why your sister's an LGBTQ member, why your brother's an LGBTQ member, why your brothers keep getting locked up, why they keep on committing violence against one another. And they're going to tell you the answer is that they didn't have somebody assaulted them, somebody hurt them. You ask anybody who hurts anybody else why they do it, and they're going to tell you, well, somebody hurt me, or I wasn't taught this, or why, or you ask them why they do it, and they're going to tell you. It's going to boil down to brotherhood. And that's the whole point. That brotherhood, is what takes Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans out of the truth, out of our culture, out of following our laws and our law, statutes, and commandments. Because of brotherhood. Because somebody offended us. And instead of handling it properly, we handled it by going back into the world and doing what was comfortable. Baba Kashaf, if you could, sir, go and read that Matthew chapter 18, verse 15.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone.
And this is so important for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to understand. Because like I said before, us not understanding this scripture right here is what takes Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans out of our culture and identity, which the Most High just said in Deuteronomy is our wisdom in the sight of the other nations. Our wisdom and our understanding in the sight of the other nations. But we don't understand this scripture. We don't. And that's why brothers and sisters leave the truth. That's why brothers and sisters hate each other. That's why you can't forgive your wife. That's why you can't forgive your husband, sisters. That's why you have an offense against your sister and you just bottle it up. You just bottle it up and hold it on your chest. Or, you know what I mean, brothers, you know what I mean, you got an offense against your wife. And I know it's difficult sometimes dealing with your ribs, but instead of working it out and fighting to gain your brother, gain your sister, you just hold it right here. Or you just like, I ain't dealing with her. I ain't dealing with him. No sweat. I didn't already this, that, and the third. You know what you're doing, right? That's the reason. And that's the reason, what you don't understand is that's the reason why these other nations don't look at us as wise and understanding people, like it's said in Deuteronomy, because we don't follow these laws. And the biggest law that's plaguing blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that we don't follow is brotherhood, is what we're reading right here in Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. There's a procedure that you can follow to make sure your offense is heard and reconciled, and you can smooth that over and move forward and have a cohesive relationship. Salaki, sir, you mind reading that from the top again?
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone.
See, this is how you do it. And it's so simple. It's so simple. And this is where we kind of draw the line. This is where we stop right here. Salaki, go ahead, read on.
If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother.
This is where we draw the line. We like, all right, I'm going to tell my brother his fault. I'm going to go pull him aside. And, you know what I mean? Or, this is where we mess up, right? So we get offended, and we feel like because we've been in captivity so long, we didn't learn from our oppressor. We didn't watch too many movies. We didn't seen too many TV shows. We see all the drama on you know what I mean? What's it called? Real Housewives and all of that. We seen all this drama in the celebrity world, and we feel like when we got an offense against one another, we feel like we got to bring it out in an aggressive way. And you can't bring an offense out to a brother or a sister without breaking something, without slamming something, without causing a scene, without making a fool of yourself, without punching your brother in the face, without punching your wife in the face. You know what I mean? That's how we feel like we got to express our offenses. But this scripture just said, Baba Kashaf from the top again.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone.
See, what you're supposed to do, and I want y'all to really grasp this, right? What you're supposed to do, if you have an offense against your brother or your sister or your wife or your husband or your whatever, your camp leader, your captain, whoever, you're supposed to go to that brother, go to that sister between you and him alone, right? Go to him between you and him alone. That don't mean go to Facebook. You know what I mean? I see this this beef with what's her name? Meg Thee Stallion and what the hell is her name? Nicki Minaj. And they making rap songs about one another. They making, you know what I'm saying? I see the beef between, you know what I'm saying, in the comedic world, and what's his name? Cat Williams, and he get on the Shannon Sharp. What's his show? The club. That's why I didn't want to say that. That's why it was escaping me. But yeah, he got on Club Shay Shay, and he start airing out the whole comedian community about all his offenses with his brothers, with his sisters, what they doing, how they moving, how they not moving. You know what I mean? That's what because we're so used to getting our wisdom and understanding from comedians instead of the laws that the Most High gave us, and getting our wisdom and understanding from rappers and entertainers and actors. You know what I mean? Look at Will Smith and Jada. You know what I mean? Instead of handling a business between them alone, like the scripture said, they getting on the red table and just Jada making a fool of what's his name? Will Smith. And then moments later, you know what I'm saying, months later, he go and slapped the hell out of Chris Rock. You know what I mean, over a joke that he told. When again, he could have just went to that brother between him and them alone and handled that. But we so used to how entertainers settle their beef because we want to be we want to be like them. we envy them. We envy entertainers. We think that entertainers are the pinnacle of society, so we want to mimic and follow after their behavior. But the Most High gave us laws, statutes, and commandments to be able to handle beef, no matter what level you at. It didn't say if you're rich. It didn't say if you're poor. It didn't make any separation between class or stature or wealth or none of that. It didn't say male or female or none of that. It just said if you have, if your brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. And that's what's going to keep Black, Hispanic, and Native American families together. You know what I mean? That's what's going to keep Black people from hating Hispanics. That's what's going to keep Hispanics and Native Americans from hating Black people. That's what's going to keep you from hating your wife. That's what's going to keep a wife from hating their husband. That's what's going to keep your child from hating their parents. What's written right here in Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. So like you, sir, you mind reading on, sir?
Verse 16. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established.
See, this is because we draw the line at, all right, I'm gonna holler at you because, you know what I'm saying, brothers and sisters in the world, I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, I ain't gonna take no credit from y'all. Or I ain't gonna take no credit from our people. You know what I mean? We go to one another and be like, you know what I'm saying? We might go to one another and try to reconcile our differences or whatever the case is. But if a brother don't hear you, first of all, we go to them mad aggressive. We like, hey, we, you know what I'm saying? It's up. It's already up. Like you damn near want to punch him in the face right then and there. Like when we settle disputes and all of that in the world, we already damn near, like if you don't hear what the hell I'm saying right now, like I'm finna go to your chin. Like that's damn near how we handle disputes and beef in the world as it is. But we draw it right there. Like if a brother don't hear you, and because we don't have what's it called? We're not together, then where else can you take it after that? If a brother don't hear you, because we just read in verse 16, if he don't hear you, then take with thee 1 or 2 more witnesses. Or Salaki, you mind reading that again, sir?
Verse 16. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established.
See, we draw the line right there because we don't have no society together because we're not together. You know what I mean? We intermix, we integrated with our oppressor. We are integrated with all these other nations. All our you know what I mean? All our people are intermarrying and intermixing with all these other nations and all of that. So we're not together. So we miss that part right there. So we go to a brother or sister, you know what I mean? We bring in that aggression, you know what I mean? Because we all riled up because we offended. Whole time this brother might not even know you offended. But we riled up, we bring it to this brother or this sister, and we damn near about to slap the hell out of him. Like Will did to Chris Rock, you know what I mean? But that's how we handle our disputes. That's how we handle our offenses. But verse 15 said, if he hear you, you gained your brother. We draw the line right there. And if in the world, or even in the truth, because a lot of times, like I said before, that's what takes people out of the truth. You know what I mean? You might be in the truth, and then you might express an offense, and then that brother might not hear you. And then you're going to leave and start GMS, or you're going to start IUIC, or you're going to start GLCC, or something like that. You're going to start, I done seen, there's so many Israelite groups out here, so many young Israelite groups. You know what I mean? Instead of settling that dispute like we were taught in these scriptures, we're going to take that dispute and we're going to be like, oh, my brother ain't hear me, so I'm going to start my own thing. And then it never gets to that second part. If that brother hear you, you might gain your brother. You know what I mean? You that brother hear you, that brother hear your offense and say, Salakia, I apologize, you know, you right, and yield to you, then you gained your brother. But if he don't hear you, then we scrap the rest of it. We don't never read past verse 15. And we just like, all right, no sweat. I'm gonna start my own thing. I'm gonna be the head of this thing over here, and you know what I'm saying. That's that. But the scriptures give you provisions and give you instructions on if that brother don't hear you, what you should do as a brother. And it says, you might read verse 16 again, so like I said.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 16. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established.
See, this is what we don't apply. You know what I mean? If you were, if you left the truth, or if you, whatever the case is, you left the truth, or you in a relationship where y'all just don't deal with one another. That's what you didn't apply. That right there. If he didn't hear you, or if that brother or that sister didn't hear you, if y'all weren't able to settle it amongst yourselves, then take that offense with one or two more witnesses. This right here, verse 16, is counsel. This is what you're supposed to do. And there's such a negative stigma on counsel, and it drives families apart. It destroys the brotherhood and it destroys the brotherhood that's been built in the ISUPK since 1969 amongst Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Because we feel like going to council, being taken to council, taking something to council, getting counsel, we feel like all of these things are just this negative thing. Like, oh, I'm in council. I'm always in council. I'm like we look at it like it's a negative thing. Like if you take your wife to council, it's like, oh well, I don't know how to. They gonna look at me like I don't know how to hold down my household. Or if you always in council with a brother, or you taking a brother to council, like, oh, they gonna look at me like I'm just this soft ass. Like they gonna look at me like I'm just this soft brother. You know what I mean? Or they gonna, you know what I'm saying? You in council all the time. It's like, oh, I'm just this brother that's always offended somebody. So we look at council like we look at council like it's just this negative thing. But that's what's gonna hold us together, brothers and sisters. That's what's gonna keep our families together. That's what's gonna keep you in a 2-parent household. That's what's gonna keep you from punching your father in the mouth. That's what's gonna keep you from, you know what I mean, cussing your mother out, or you know what I mean, abusing your you know what I'm saying. That's what's gonna keep us together. That's what's gonna keep us. You know what I mean. That's gonna, you know what I'm saying. We look at each other again. We look at each other as royalty. You know what I mean. We call each other king and queen, but the Matthew 18:15, us taking one another to counsel, that's what's gonna keep us being viewed as wise and understanding in the sight of these other nations, like we just read in Deuteronomy. Let me see what it's like. If I may, going to council is an honorable thing because you actually trying to change and become that new man. Now, real talk, that brother is what the brother said is absolutely correct. Like taking the brother to council, like you should look. Salakia, let me find a scripture real quick. It's Salakia, you know where it says do nothing without counsel. You know where that's at? And that's what's that's heavy what the brother just said. Like that's again 9 times out of 10 if a brother is getting high. You know what I mean? Because that's what separates, you know what I mean? That's what keeps brothers, you know what I'm saying? That's what keeps us destroyed. You know what I'm saying? We getting high. We out here eating abominable food. We out here sleeping with our oppressors. You know what I mean? We celebrating our oppressors' holidays and all of that. That's what keeps us in the world. Because 9 times out of 10, the reason why you're getting high is because it's like you.
Is it this one where just do nothing without advice?
I believe so.
Ecclesiasticus?
I'm not sure. You go, Bob Shaw, you go read it.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 32, verse 19. Do nothing without advice, and when thou hast once done, repent not.
Right. Okay, that I think that might be it. But the whole point is like these scriptures tell us exactly how to handle things. But you go into the world because you've been offended. You go into the world because, or you resort to, you know what I mean, you getting high on the low, or because, you know what I mean, your parents might have been abusive, and that was too much for you to, you know what I'm saying, handle as a child, that traumatized you as a child, or you resort to alcoholism, or you resort to, you know what I'm saying, you name it, you name it. 9 times out of 10, you're doing those things because of an offense. But the whole point, you know what I'm saying? The Most High gave us laws, statutes, and commandments. He gave us provisions and instructions to be able to handle these things. So if we just follow this simple thing, if we just follow if your brother offends you, if your brother offends you, go to him between you and me alone. Let me go back to Matthew chapter 18 real quick. If thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between he and them alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. Now, if you just follow that simple instruction, you just follow that simple instruction, then you don't have to get high. Now you don't have to resort to getting high. Now you don't have to resort to alcoholism. Now you don't have to resort to abusing yourself or abusing every brother or sister that looks like you. You don't have to resort to that because you went to your brother between you and him alone. He offended you. He offended you, and you went to him or you went to her and told him your offense, and he heard you. So now you don't have to resort to the abuse. I guarantee, if you ask any Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, why you on a stripper pole? Why you got a new man in your house every other week? If you ask any brother, why you on a corner selling drugs? Why you getting high? Why you rolling a whole pound every day and you still don't get high but you still smoke? You ask any brother, I'm gonna reveal something to you. You know what I'm saying? You on any drug, right? You on any drug, I guarantee it gets to a point where you're not getting high no more. You trying to smoke and get high, you trying to whatever they tell you in the world, you know what I'm saying? You trying to relieve some pressure, you trying to relieve some stress. You getting high and all of that, you're not even getting high no more. But you ask that brother or that sister, hey, why you constantly smoking? Why every time I see you smoking? Didn't you say you was gonna quit? Ain't that what you said? You said that to me. And that brother gonna tell you, well, I never had a father. That's what he gonna tell you. You ask that sister, why you don't have to you don't have to do this, right? You know what I'm saying? Them bottle girls and them strippers, you know what I mean? You ask them, you ain't gotta do this. Why are you doing this? Why are you degrading yourself like this? And she gonna tell you, oh, I never had a father. My mother I never had a mother. I was raised in a foster care. I was abused as a child. I was this, that, and the third. That brother or that sister is gonna tell you they were offended by somebody. Or why you so violent? Why you, why you, why you always like? Why everything just why you so violent? You know what I mean? Why you in these streets just out here just wilding? Come on, man. They gonna be like, well, I was abused as a child, and that's what they gonna tell you. It starts with an offense. And a lot of times we succumb to those. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, we succumb to those things because of offenses that we haven't gotten hashed out. But it says, go to that brother between he and them alone. We draw the line there. All right, that brother ain't hear me. All right, I'm through with that brother. I'm through with that sister. All right, but 16 said, if he will not hear thee, then take with thee two or more witness, or like it, two or more. that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. What we reading right here in Matthew chapter 18, verse 16, right? See, we especially in the truth, we know all about Matthew 18:15, but we don't read past 15, right? It says take and basic. This is impartial. This is getting counsel, right? Those witnesses are impartial witnesses, witnesses that are not involved in whatever you going through, not involved in whatever shenanigans you got going on. They're not involved in that, so they're not gonna sway one way to whoever. They're not gonna sway one way or the other because they're not involved with y'all. They just hearing the matter, right? These are impartial witnesses. This is counsel with the general, with General Mahaiman. He's head of the council department, I believe, and this is how you keep things from escalating to where now you gotta leave. Now you gotta call the police, or you gotta leave the truth, or whatever the case is. You gotta divide your family. You gotta leave your wife. Now you gotta leave, so you don't end up killing your brother, or it's like you're taking the life of your brother. You know what I mean? And or you know what I mean, dividing your family, dividing your household, creating a violent situation for your brothers or your sisters. You know what I mean? Going to council. Salaki, sir. Verse 17.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 17. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a publican.
See this right here, right? So again, you might go to council. Like, all right, I'm about to take the sister to council. And this is another thing. Like, brothers might, you know what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, we go to council and there's such a stigma on going to council. Like, we go to council with the intent of hurting one another, just like we did in the world. Like, that's the reason why you was calling the police. That's the reason why you was that's the reason why a wife might commit adultery on her husband. That's why a husband might go and get another wife. You know what I mean? Which is absolutely lawful. You know what I mean? But that's why families divide, because you might go to that brother or sister, they don't hear you, and then we just decide to you know what I mean, we decide to take it there. You know what I mean? Go and offend one another even further. Well, you offended me, so now I'm offended. I'm gonna offend you, and this is how I felt when you offended me. But verse 17 says, Salaki, sir, you mind reading that again, Baba Kashan?
And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a publican.
See, when we especially in the truth as well, like when we in the truth, like since we grew up in that chaotic environment in the world, we take that mentality and we bring it to council. Like when we bring somebody to council, or when we take something to council, we like we do it to hurt somebody a lot of times, right? You take a brother or a sister to council, it's like, oh yeah, the general's about to fire you up because you think you right and they so wrong. So you go to council and you air everything out, right? But that's not what council's for. I mean, that's not what council's for. The whole point is to gain your brother, to gain your sister. But if the council, or if that person, you know what I mean, you take something to council, like, yeah, this, that, and the third happened. I brought it to this brother, I brought it to this sister. They didn't hear it, so we hear it now. They don't hear that counsel. You know what I mean? What they should do is bring it before, like after they go to council with the generals, speaking in terms of in the truth. What they should do is bring it before the school, because the word church is the word church is school, right? So bring it before the congregation, bring it before everyone. You know what I mean? Every brother, every sister, or select every brother in the school. You know what I mean, bring it before them. They're like, look, uh, we went to council, uh, whatever it is. This wasn't efficient, or this wasn't sufficient for me. You know what I mean, the judgment. I feel like the judgment in this council wasn't just, wasn't righteous. Now you bring it before the school, and Commandant General Yohana will handle it. And that's how you keep from leaving the school. Like we find so many reasons to try to leave the school. You know what I mean? Try to leave one another. And that's what you got to understand is that's what that demon wants. That demon on you, that demon wants to get high again. And that demon wants an excuse to get high again. That demon wants an excuse to be a drunkard. That demon wants an excuse to leave your family, to divide your family. But if you don't follow these instructions, then if you don't follow these instructions that was given to us by the Most High, then you're listening to, you know what I mean? You're just gonna destroy yourself. You're gonna because that demon wants an excuse to abuse your brother, your sister, or yourself. But that's why these instructions are here. So, Lockie, let me get back to let me get there with you. Lockie.
While you're doing it, if I may,
Concert.
I want you to bring it up. That's because, like, when you're going to counsel, you're trying to rectify a situation, while keeping the brotherhood intact.
Right.
You understand? And that's the whole thing about it. You know what I'm saying? Getting something rectified, while keeping that brotherhood intact.
Right. No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Like, because we, at the end of the day, we a family. We a family. And you know what I mean? Like the answer isn't to abuse one another. The answer isn't to, you know what I mean, abuse yourself. It's not the answer. That's why these other nations feel like they got the right to abuse us. That's why they feel like they got the right to have us in captivity and you know what I mean, to take advantage of us and do all the things that they do to us, to mimic our culture and then at the same time hate us. Because we don't love one another. We don't love ourselves. But that's why that's why in John chapter 13, Christ said that he gave us a new commandment, that we love one another. So we could try that, and maybe, you know what I mean, we try that, we follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, and we follow the instruction that was given to us in this Bible, and maybe just maybe we could just, we don't have to, you know what I mean, every story doesn't have to be where I grew up without a father. I never knew my father. I never knew my mother. I was in you know what I mean, my mother was promiscuous. My father was in and out of jail. We don't. Oh, I just got off of. I'm trying to get off of whatever drug, or I'm trying to put the bottle down, or it doesn't have to be that same story because we have the instructions right here, so we can avoid that. And the reason why we lean to those things is because of this right here, of brotherhood. I guarantee you, to put me to the test. You know what I mean? Anybody in the chat, you know what I'm saying? This is your homework. You know what I mean? Go to anybody. Go to anybody in the world. You know what I mean? We doing these interviews out here. We doing these food drives, talking to people, going to these events and all of that. Ask anybody. And I guarantee 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you, yeah, I'm out here because, you know what I mean? My father did this and my mother did this and my brother did this. And this is why I'm constantly getting high. Why I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just getting off of alcohol. I'm just getting off of drugs. I'm out here in these streets, poor. You know what I mean? Ask them. Ask anybody. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you this. It's because of this new commandment that we haven't followed yet. Salakia. Let me get Matthew chapter 22, Bob Kashai, verse 37.
The book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 37. And Jesus said unto him,
Salakia, verse 35, maybe? where it says, what's the great commandment?
Verse 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law?
All right, so these are the disciples asking Christ again. All right, what is the great commandment in the law? Right. Go. Let's see what Christ said, because there's a whole what is it, 613 laws, statutes, and commandments. Well, let's see what Christ say is the greatest commandment. Go ahead, read on, Bob Kashan.
Verse 37. And Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love thy neighbor. I'm sorry, Salaki. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. 38. This is the first and great commandment.
So Christ said the first commandment is to love the Lord with all thy mind and all with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. How do you love the Most High? Salaki. Let me get that precept real quick. Well, how do you love the Most High with all your mind and all that heart and all that strength and all that soul and all of that? I'm gonna leave it to y'all in the chat. I'm gonna give y'all just a brief second to answer that. But how do you love the Lord with all that mind and all that strength and all of that? Like, I'm right. Go ahead. Go ahead and post that scripture in the chat, young man. You got the preset. Go ahead and post it in the chat. First John chapter 5, verse 3. Let's see what that's talking about. So like you said, you might getting First John chapter 5, verse 3.
The book of First John.
Chapter 5, verse 3.
Chapter 5, verse 3. That which we have seen and heard, declare we unto you.
That's First John chapter 5. What the brother in the chat said is absolutely correct. You love the Lord with all thy heart, all that heart, all that mind, all that strength, all that soul, all of that. Then you follow these commandments, like the brother just posted in the chat, and that should go to show you how wicked and the lack of understanding that is in the Christian church. You know what I mean? In all these fake Israelite groups and all these, you know what I'm saying, all these other nations' religions. The Most High said that if you select it, sir, you mind reading that? You got that?
The book of First John, chapter 5, verse 3. For this is the love of God.
This is how you love God. And Christ said that this is the greatest, this is the first and great commandment, like we just read in Matthew. Select it, sir. Go ahead, read on.
That we keep his commandments.
That we keep his commandments. Nah, that we sing and dance.
That we keep his commandments.
Nah, that you wear the biggest hat that you can find in a Goodwill.
That we keep his commandments.
Now that you put on that 3-piece suit and them sharp shoes that you can't even barely walk in.
That we keep his commandments.
See, your Christian pastor, like we said in the beginning of the class, is not equipped to handle the problems of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And one of the main reasons why they're not equipped is because they do away with the law. They convince you that the law is done away with. They tell you that you don't have to keep the law. But the law, the first, Slack it, sir. You mind reading from the top? Slack it.
For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments.
But the love of God is to keep his commandments. Slack it. Go ahead, read on, sir.
And his commandments are not grievous.
And that's the heavy part. Like the commandments that the Most High gave us aren't even grievous. It's not hard to not eat pork. It's not hard to not eat pork bacon. We got beef bacon, and beef bacon is delicious. Like, it's not hard to not eat a pork chop. You got filet mignon, you got ribeye, you got New York strips, you got all these different steaks, you got all these different lawful foods that you can eat. You know what I mean? You got lamb. Good night. Like, you know what I mean? I know brothers and sisters like to put that ham hock and smoke I don't even what is it the pig feet and the smoked turkey or the smoked pork pork neck or something like that in the collard greens. You get you some smoked turkey and put up in the collard greens. It's not grievous to not eat unlawful food. You like fried fish. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta eat catfish, which is unlawful. But you can eat you know what I mean, you can eat salmon, you can eat cod, you can eat halibut, you can eat it's so much lawful food. You know what I mean? It's so much, you know what I'm saying? It's so much law. The commandments are not grievous. It's not grievous to Salaki. Let's get what was we at? Matthew chapter 22 concert. But it's not grievous. It's not grievous. And we're gonna find out why it's not grievous. Let's get verse 30. Yeah, concert.
The book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 39. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
That's why the commandments are not grievous, because you don't want somebody sleeping with your rib. You don't want somebody pushing up on your rib, trying to you know what I mean, trying to holler at her. You know what I mean, treating her like she's single. You know what I mean, disregarding you. So don't do that to another brother. You know what I mean, don't sleep with another man's rib. You know what I mean, treating her like she's single, like she ain't got a whole family with this man. Don't you don't want nobody kicking in your dough, so don't kick in nobody else's dough, taking all that they got. You don't want somebody abusing your child, so don't abuse somebody else's child. You don't want somebody you name it. You name it. I mean, whatever you don't want done to you, don't do that. Don't do that to another brother. And that's why the second is like unto the first commandment. Bible, can I read verse 39 again?
And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
If you love your neighbor as yourself, and this goes to show, we just read in what's it called? Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17 and 18. Your neighbor is your brother. Your neighbor ain't that oppressor that you live next to because you just hated your brother so goddamn much. Living around black people is just so unbearable that you had to move to the burbs. So now your neighbor is your neighbor is such and such next door. This Edomite family next to you. This so-called your oppressor. You know what I mean? Is right next to you. You know what I mean? Bringing you these pies and cookies and all of that. You know what I mean? Looking at, but then calling the police on you every other day. You know what I mean? Your neighbor isn't who's adjacent to you. Your neighbor is your brother, like we read in Leviticus chapter 19. It says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor." Your neighbor is your brother, another black, Hispanic, and Native American. So when we read in Matthew chapter 20, what was we at? Chapter 22? 22 and 39, when it says, let me get there real quick. When it says in Matthew chapter 22 and 39, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, it's talking about your brother, your sister, another black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, or child. That's your neighbor. And you should love your black, Hispanic, and Native American brothers and sisters as yourself. So if you don't want somebody abusing you, don't abuse somebody. If you don't want somebody to sell your mother drugs, don't sell somebody else's mother drugs. You know what I mean? You You don't want. You hated that your father was an alcoholic and a drug addict. You hated that your mother was a promiscuous woman. So don't be a promiscuous woman. Don't be a drug addict. Don't be an alcoholic because you hated that. You didn't want that for yourself. So don't do that to your children. Don't do that to your family, to your brother, to your sister. That's the whole point. Concept.
No, just to add to what you're saying, because like today, when it comes, to another Black, Hispanic, or Native American, if they're not within our immediate family, we treat them, like they're just a piece of dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just somebody off the street. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and what you're bringing out, um, with the disciples asking Christ, what's the greatest commandment, and then just bringing about, how you deal, with a brother, as far as going to counsel and things like that. This is about keeping a family intact. You know what I'm saying? This is about having another brother living halfway across the world, but treating him like family. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that's what it's about. Because the nation of Israel, is a large nation of people, and you got everybody treating one another like family. Well, then that's set apart. You understand?
Right. Now, real talk. What you said was just so heavy, and the water for that. Like that's the whole point. That's the whole point. And if you had that mentality going into a council or going to at the beginning of going to your brother between him and you alone, you go into that with that mentality, then you can like, okay, I know this brother. I know how this brother is. I know this, that, and the third. You can walk into the offense or go into the Matthew 18:15 with brotherhood. Like, okay, I know this brother might be a little. I know this might be a little tender spot for this brother right here, or I know this. He might have a hard time dealing with this, or I know this sister. I know, especially dealing with our wives. You know what I mean? I know if I say this to her, it's gonna do this, that, and the third. I know she gonna feel this way. If you just go, if you what the priest just brought up, if you go into the Matthew 18:15 with that mentality, then like he just said, we can keep our family together, and it don't have to be a grievous thing. You Matthew 18:15, a brother like, hey, look, Salakia, I know you because we do that to our oppressors. You know what I mean? We go to our jobs and we like you know what I mean? We trying to get a raise or whatever the case is. We trying to get what is it? We trying to get moved up or whatever the case is. We go and flatter the boss or whatever we do in the world. You know what I mean? You like, hey, that's a nice tie. I see that tie. You know what I mean? You trying to rub elbows with your boss, and then you go in there and ask for that raise. You like, hey, look, I know I've been you lay out your credentials. You like, yeah, I've been doing this, that, and the third. I've been doing this. I've grown in this area. I've been handling these responsibilities and all of that. I just would you go to when you deal with your oppressor, when you deal with your boss, when you deal with your slavery, you go in there with that mentality of, you know what I mean? When you go in there with that mentality of trying to gain trying to gain the favor of your boss, why not? How much more valuable would it be if we just went into anything like that? Like you trying to gain the favor of your husband, you trying to gain the favor of your wife, you trying to gain the favor, or you trying to gain your brother, like it says in Matthew 18:15, which is the whole point. Why not go into the council and be like, hey, Salakia, I know you've been doing this, that, and the third, and I appreciate you. You know what I mean? You've been an excellent brother. You've been an excellent wife. You've been an excellent sister. You've been an excellent husband. I just had this concern, right? So this, that, and the third, and you lay it out. Then you can gain your brother. Salakia, the brother pulled a priest. Can I get 1 John chapter 4, verse 20? But and this is the whole point. Like if we take that stigma off of Matthew 18:15, again, like the priest just brought out, and it was so heavy, we can keep our families together. because that's the entire point. It's like, sir, you got that?
The book of 1 John chapter 4, verse 20, if a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen?
So now everybody love God, right? Everybody love God and Jesus. Even if you're not in a Christian church, even if you claim to be a Hindu, Buddhist, Kemet, whatever you claim to be. But you know what I mean? Everybody love God. Everybody like Jesus, God. You know what I mean? You full on these the horoscopes and the what they call them, zodiac signs and all of that. And that's your God. You know what I mean? You burning sage and you collecting it's like crystals. You doing all of that. That's your God. That's what you follow. You follow wherever the wind blow you. You like a leaf in the wind. Or whatever you see. You know what I mean? That's your God. But at the end of the day, what does every celebrity do? You know what I mean? When they what does every rapper after rapping about how they they the biggest unaliver and they got all these weapons and they talking about all the women that they done hoard out, and they talking about all the brothers that they done taken the life of, and this, that, and the third. What do they go up on once they get that Grammy, once they get that award, once they get the millions, once they get that bankroll? What do? They get up on that stage and they like, damn right, exactly. The brother just right on point. He said the first thing they want to do is thank God. You know what I mean? Whatever walk of life you decide to go down. First thing brothers and sisters want to do is thank God. So everybody believe in God, but what the precept just brought out, what First John chapter 4 verse 20 just said is, if a man say I love God and hate his brother, he's a liar. So you say you love God, and that's another thing too. Like, you know what I mean? These fake Israelite groups, these Christians, like if you look up and down 8th Street, you go around this corner right here, you go all over Killeen, you see all these Christian churches. You see all these Episcopal, Salaki, I ain't gonna go there, but you see all these different denominations and the different, good night. Like you can't go nowhere in the hood without seeing a Christian church. You see all these Christian churches, and you see all these fake Israelite groups, you know what I'm saying, that came after the ISUPK. The whole reason why they jumping from Christian church to Christian church, from religion to fake Israelite group to fake Israelite group. The reason why they left the ISUPK is because brotherhood. But they say they love God. They like, well, or even these individualites, the reason why they can't get with they can't join with any Israelite group, they can't join with the Home of the Truth, is because, well, I just study on my own, man. I just get the word and blah 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 blah. Like, the reason why they can't join together, they can't come into the Home of the Truth, where it all began, is brotherhood. It's because they claim to love God, but they have an ought with their brother. And the scripture just said, Slacker, sir, you mind reading that one more time, sir?
The book of 1 John chapter 4, verse 20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen?
See, all these Christian churches, all these fake Israelite groups, all these individualites, you claim to, you know what I'm saying, you studying by yourself because you claim to love God. You claim to love God, you claim to love your brother, you know what I mean? You doing all this like, well, I love, you know what I'm saying, I love the truth, but you know what I mean, them Israelites too aggressive. I mean, the ISUPK too aggressive. Or I love it, you know what I'm saying, I love the Lord, but this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? I can't get down with a First Episcopal Ebenezer Baptist Church because they did this, that, and the third. And sister such and such, did this, that, and the third. So I go over here to New Living Water such and such church because they just this, that, and the third. Like you, the reason why is because you hate your brother. You can't bear to be around your brother. It's because we don't understand the scripture that we just read earlier, that Matthew 18:15. I guarantee every black, Hispanic, and Native American who's in Catholicism or in the Christian church, you've never heard that scripture. You know, the Christian church loved the New Testament. Christian church loved the New Testament, but they've never read Matthew chapter 18, verse 15 to you. It's crazy to me. But it's because they claim, just like First John says, it says you know it's because they claim to love the Most High, but they hate their brother. It's a lot here. Let me get Matthew chapter 6, verse 14 real quick.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 14. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you.
Is it anything before that? So, like, let me get there real quick. Is there anything relevant before that?
I mean, it's just the Lord's Prayer. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, kind. Okay, no, sir. You mind reading that from the top again, sir?
The book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 14. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you.
And this is another thing, like again, like the priest brought out earlier. Like this, the whole point is to keep families together. The whole point is to keep Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans together. Not just Black families, not just Hispanic families together, Native American families together. You know what I mean? That's the start. You know what I mean? You got your wife and you know what I'm saying? You got your wife or sisters, you got your husband, you got your children. Of course, you want to keep your family together. Of course, you want to keep your family intact. But the whole goal is to keep our people, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans together. But it's a lot here. But the reason why we're divided, the reason why we feel like the biggest argument, I'm surprised I ain't seen no hecklers. I'm surprised I ain't seen the usual brothers that be up in here talking they trash. But the reason why brothers always want to discard our Hispanic and Native American brothers and say that they not Israel, the reason why Hispanics don't really you know what I'm saying, Hispanics in the world don't look at Black people as brothers is because of what we've been bringing out all night, that new commandment. But you know what I mean, we and that's the whole, like what the priest just read in Matthew chapter 6. The reason why we go into Matthew 18:15, you go to Matthew 18:15, a brother or a sister, you go to tell them your offense, and you already on 10, you already aggressive, you already want to fight. You know what I mean? And you damn near already out the truth. You got 1 foot out the truth. You like, if they don't hear me, I'm about to roll this blunt. I'm about to smoke this blunt right now. I already got rolled and set up right now. I'm about to hit this vape. I'm about to whatever. Like, you already got it planned. Like, if your husband don't hear you, you already got a side nigga on the side just waiting. You got the text right there, just queued up. We damn near already got 1 foot out the truth, 1 foot out the marriage, 1 foot out the relationship, 1 foot out the brotherhood. When we go into Matthew 18:15. But it's because of this right here. If we went into it with the mentality of trying to gain one another, then we'll get a different result. You mind reading that one more time, sir? Salakia, I know I keep on.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 14. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you.
See, that's the whole point, because that's the whole point. Like, you got to remember that your righteousness is as a filthy rag. I mean, you're not no better. You know what I mean? Than any brother in the world or any brother in the truth, any sister in the world, any sister in the truth. You're not no better. And the whole point is to gain your brother. But if you go into a Matthew 18:15, you go into a council with the intent of trying to, you're like, oh yeah, I'm about to take you to council. I'm about to get you fired up. I'm about to, you know what I mean? Like, you go into it like that, you out the spirit. You out the spirit. But the whole point, the reason why Matthew 18:15 is there is so that you can, Lord willing, you can just solve it right there. You should be able to just solve it right there. Go to a brother and be like, hey, I'm offended. This what you said offended me. Salakia. This this offended me. And you can go to that brother humbly, whatever it is, whether you outrank that brother, whether you over that brother, whether y'all the same rank, whether that's your wife, whether that's your husband, no matter what the relationship is, you should be able to go to that brother or that sister and be like, it's like, I know you 10 toes down for this truth. I know you down for this truth. You've been putting in all this work. You excellent. You know what I mean? But this right here, it just offended me when you said this, that, and third. And then that brother or that sister will hear you with compassion. You go to that brother with compassion, and that sister or brother will hear you with compassion. We should be able to squash it right there because of what we just read right here. Salaki, let me get verse 15.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 15. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses.
So if you needed any more encouragement or anything like that to forgive your brother, or to just you know what I mean, just if you needed any more ammo or any influence to forgive your brother, there it is right there. I mean, you want to be you want to be forgiven by the Most High because of all the things that you did in the world. You know what I mean? Just forgive your brother, forgive your sister, let it go. Like, all right, especially if they come to you. They come to you and be like, hey, Salakia, you know what I'm saying? Salakia, let me get real quick. Let me see. Whoa. Matthew chapter, Salakia. I know it's in Matthew. Salakia. Salakia. Where I say let me get Matthew chapter 5 real quick. Verse 23. Salakia.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 23. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, verse 24. Leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift.
So this is another, you know what I'm saying? This is another part to it. So we just read Matthew 18:15, where if you got a offense with a brother, you go to him. You got a offense against a brother or sister, you go to him or her, right? But here's the other side of the coin. If you know that you've offended or you may have offended a brother or sister, you should go to that brother as well, right? And this is another thing. Like, a lot of times we don't Matthew 18:15 one another. We don't go to that brother between he and thee alone. We don't go to that sister between y'all alone because we like, oh, you know what you did. You know that was dead wrong. And you holding it on your chest because you like, They offended me. They know they offended me. They know that was wrong. Whole time, this sister or brother don't even know what the hell you talking about. Like they thinking that it's just, you know what I'm saying, just normal. They thinking everything good. Whole time you got an offense on your chest. Right? So this is what we already understand this right here. Or I ain't gonna say we understand it, but we already like this is what keeps us from going to that brother between he and me alone. Right? And then on the flip side, we'll hear some or we'll crack a joke or we'll crack a joke on somebody or we might offend somebody and then we'll be like, well, if they offended, they should come to me and let me know they offended it. Otherwise, I mean, they must not be offended. Nah, that's not brotherhood either. It's Slaki, so you might reading that again?
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 23. So, like, which one you want to read again?
23.
Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother have aught against thee. Verse 24, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift.
See, we if you know that you might have offended your brother, or you might have or your sister, you know what I'm saying, your brother or your sister kind of you know what I'm saying, y'all kind of had some dealings, and then your brother or your sister kind of distant from you, or they kind of, or whatever the case is, you might see a change in behavior with your brother or your sister. You should go to that brother, like, hey, did I offend you? Or you think you might have offended your brother, even if you didn't offend your brother. You go to that brother or that sister and be like, hey, when I did this or that and the third, did this offend you? And they might be like, yeah, that did offend me, but it's not really a big deal, or whatever the case is. Or they might be like, nah, you good. You go to that brother and make sure, because the whole point of all of this, the whole point of Matthew 18:15, the whole point of keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, the whole point of going to your brother is to keep our family intact. That's the whole point. So if you think you might have offended a brother, go to that brother. You think you might have offended a sister, your wife, or your husband, or whatever the case is. Go to him. It's like, did this offend you? Like, you good? We straight? You know what I'm saying? Check the post. You know what I mean? Check, just make sure everything good. And then if you've been offended, go to that brother. Go to that sister. Be like, hey, this offended me. I know you probably didn't mean nothing by it. I know you mean well, probably, I bet, but this offended me. Go to that brother. Make sure everything good. You know what I mean? And that's how you keep your family together. That's how we keep Black, Hispanic, and Native American families together. And that's why Christ said that this was a new commandment. Because I mean, we was all about hurting one another. Like, if we caught you know what I'm saying, somebody in the act of committing a crime, even though we back then we wasn't keeping the law, obviously, because we in the condition we in today. You know what I mean? Even if we wasn't keeping the law ourselves, if we caught somebody in the act of not keeping the law, we was ready to put that, you know what I'm saying, we was ready to bring the judgment out. You know what I mean? But that's why Christ had to come and teach us the spirit of the law. Like, you can, you know what I mean? You of course, any Black, Hispanic, or anybody who's had an offense, or any brother or sister who's had, you know what I mean, a grievance or an offense committed to them, any crime committed to them, they should get justice. But what we wasn't doing, and what we don't do today, is we don't weigh the matter. We don't weigh the matter to make sure the crime fits the punishment. But that's what we should do. You Matthew 18:15, you go to that brother if you've been offended, or somebody's offended you, or it's like you've been offended, or if you think you may have kind of offended a brother or sister, go to that brother. And you know what I mean? That's why we gonna keep our families together. Long story short, Salakia. Let me see if there's anything else. Make sure before we get up out of here, make sure there ain't no questions in the chat. I mean, before we close it out, now's your time. If you got any questions or comments, especially you hecklers, I know these hecklers is watching. You know what I mean? It's been a while. I hope y'all, and I hope any brothers, sisters, you know what I mean, who was heckling or who don't, you know what I'm saying, who ain't in here or but tune in. I pray that y'all, you know what I mean, follow the instructions that we gave to call whatever number to the head of the school in your zone. Call that number and get in class. You know what I mean, get counsel. But right now is the time to, you know what I'm saying, ask your questions and get them answered. This is the scripture breakdown class. Let me see. But the only way that we're gonna change the condition of our people is changing yourself. The way we're gonna be able to reverse these curses, get away from these curses, is by changing you and changing how you deal with offenses. To change the way you deal with, you know what I mean, your traumas. You know what I mean? As long as you handle it properly, that's the only way Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans households and society is gonna change. Okay, let me see. I got you, brother. The brother asked for a breakdown of Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10. Let's take a look at it. 6 and 10. Like sir, you mind reading that real quick? Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 46 and 10, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure.
Okay. You mind reading a couple verses up, like verse. Let me see, verse 8, real quick. Or slack it, verse 7.
Verse 7, they bear him upon the shoulder, they carry him and set him in his place, and he standeth. From his place shall he not remove. Yea, one shall cry unto him, yet can he not answer, nor save him out of his trouble. Verse 8, remember this, and show yourselves men. Bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors. Verse 9, remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me. Verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasures.
Okay, so this I see where your question coming from. This ain't okay, so how can I explain it?
Broken down.
So he's asking, does this mean we don't have free will? So the Most High gave us instructions. What's the I believe it's in Deuteronomy chapter 30. Choose. What's the word? What's the scripture? I think Saran brought it out yesterday. Deuteronomy chapter 30. I believe it's like 14 or something like that. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Let me see. There we go. 15. Let me see. Oh, Salaki.
This scripture's not talking about free will.
Right.
It's just the Lord saying that here from the beginning. He declared things, from the beginning to the end. Everything was done by him, and even the things that have come, the things that already happened, and the things that are going to come.
Right.
But it's not talking about that.
But no, this scripture isn't. It's not saying that we. It's not saying that. But it's saying. It's like, let me go back to it real quick. Let me see. But the Most High gave us instructions. Long story short, the Most High gave us instructions on how to avoid, curses, how to avoid, the condition that we in today. And if we follow these instructions, we can avoid all of that. We can avoid all of that. So that's pretty much what this is saying, right? When it says verse 8, remember this and show yourselves men, bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, there is no one else. Right? Declaring, verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient time, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So the book of Isaiah, if you read the book of Isaiah, it's talking about a lot of our, it's talking about, it's going to show you a lot of things that we're going to go through because we didn't follow these law, statutes, and commandments. We didn't follow our culture. So it's saying basically, because we didn't follow these commandments, because we didn't follow the instructions of the Most, it's like your father. You know what I mean? Your father, you know what I'm saying? Your parents, he give you instructions. Your father give you instructions, and then if you don't follow these instructions, you might get chastised. You might get your behind whooped. You know what I mean? You take your punishment like a man, right? That's why I say show yourself men, right? You might get chastised. You might get your behind whooped. Show yourselves men. Take your punishment like a man, and then come back to these. You know what I'm saying? Follow the instructions that you was given. That's pretty much what that's talking about. But the free will thing, the free will, Salakia, I believe I want to get that precept. Deuteronomy chapter. I set before you life and death. Let me see. Verse 15. 19, Salakia. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore choose life.
So this is where your Christian pastors will try to trip you up with the whole free will thing. Like they'll just be like, "Oh, I set before you life and death," or they'll just be like, "All right, well, you can, the Lord know your heart and all of that." But the Most High is laying it crystal clear. He's saying, I've called heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I've set before you life and death, blessings and curses. So, he's giving you the answer. He said, you can choose life or death. You can choose blessings or curses. Like it says in Deuteronomy 28. He gives you what will happen if you follow his laws and what happens if you don't follow his laws. But he's telling you what to choose. He told you choose life. So I wouldn't say it's free. It's not free will. It's he's giving you instructions, and he told you it's this thing over here, and it's this thing over here. And if you choose this over here, it ain't gonna be too good for you. So choose this over here. You know what I mean? But it's like it. Before we close out. It's heavy what you said, brother. Nobody wants to choose death. You would think that, but we choose death all the time. We choose death every day. Like what do brothers and sisters ask? Like what we always like why why would the Most High put us in a situation? If God was real, why he got us in this condition? Why if the Most High is real, then why we gotta sell drugs to keep our lights on? You know what I mean? Like we always question the Most High, but every day, like you would think that nobody wants to choose death, but every day we choosing death by not following these laws, statutes, and commandments. But it's heavy you brought that out. But we choose it. We choosing it. You know what I mean? Let me see. With that, we gonna go ahead. What time is it? We'll go ahead and close it out right there. With that, it's our Majim, which means the stand. We'll give a courteous salute to the brothers. Individual Majim Shabbat. I Majim, Barak, Yahaba Shimi Ashar Barakthum, Yajimata, Nosar. Turn to face the sisters, give a courteous salute to the sisters. Individual Majim Shabbat. I Majim, Barak, Yahaba Shamar Latham Bashimi Awashah, Yajimata, dismissed.